This just sounds really funny for an upcoming tea.
Comedian, fucking Hawkeye, Tarlo.
Yeah, that's for an upcoming tea for the movie in December.
Comedian, fucking Hawkeye, Tarlo.
Bad English.
Tarlo.
Very bad English.
Yeah, not exactly the best English to use, because it's supposed to be folking. What was it? I forgot, but translates into like ab buster comedian Taro or something like that. But anyway, what's up everyone? I am the Kaijino Kami with Noisemaker.
Cruellica Kain.
Advent Nebula.
And instead of having the fake version here, we've got the real.
Chrisalage Bloodborne.
Yep, the real Chrisalage
And we
Bloodborne.
still have Silverquill.
Yep, we still have fake Silver Quill.
It'll probably be a while before we see Silver Quill back on the
And
actual
I
premises.
got all my toys.
We are here to talk about episodes 39 to 45 of Kamen Rider Zero-One.
Or is it 02?
It's Zero-One.
Or
is
Arc
it
Zero?
Yeah,
Arc
because
Zero.
Because there's so many.
Or Arc 1.
Altogether, yeah.
First off, we have episode 39, which starts with Naruto on the ground and ends with Naruto on the ground.
Pretty much.
We've got 40, which has the Zero-One driver being destroyed.
Correct.
Yep.
And so 40 was the Groundhog's Day type scenario.
Yes.
Or like Doctor Strange going, I've looked through all these multiple realities.
I go with Groundhog's Day
But-
because that's the one I've watched.
Okay.
Or Happy Death Day.
I really liked the episode the first time we watched it when it first aired, but I have to say, knowing it was all simulation this time around, I didn't actually enjoy the episode as much. I actually was kind of bored with it.
I was thrown for a loop watching it because this is why it was my first time watching these set episodes so we could do this.
Okay, but before we get into episode 40, episode 39 is when Thouser...
Completely comes to Naruto's side.
Yes, which I know you have problems with that, which is the purpose of why you skipped it. But I think it's important to note that Thouser, or Guy, he completes his redemption.
Best as he could.
Yes, as best as he could.
Yes, I do like that everyone said, well, you can't just redeem yourself because you say you're redeeming yourself.
And he goes through, because episode 39 is also, I look at as the Apologies Grand Tour.
He literally goes to every single person he's screwed over.
Yes, and he is dealing with Catholic guilt. Anyone who was raised Catholic will understand what I mean by that. By a mechanical dog.
Yeah, I do like Izu's line of, if you want to apologize properly, your bow needs to be 90 degrees.
I did hit record, right? Yes, I did hit record.
And then, well, I like the entire thing because I thought it was nice to see, and I think I might have turned it off, but, I know I turned this one
Nope,
off.
it's still on.
But, I enjoyed it. What did you think, Chrisalage, Advent?
Like I said, I thought the episode worked pretty well for setting up his redemption. It did come a little sudden in 38 and then the 39. Because even though it's been 8 weeks since I had watched between the episodes, I still remembered pretty well.
Oh, absolutely.
The only best part of it was the Robo Papa. Outside of that he is not redeemed.
I want that dog.
It is a good Robo
Well,
Papa.
they sell those types of dogs for years. Nothing new. But that's more advanced.
Yeah. But when it came down to the episode, the apology tour,
Get your...
Hold on. Why didn't it do...
'Cause you
it doesn't always do it.
You have to hit the button first before.
But the apology...
I did. Okay, whatever.
The apology tour was actually pretty entertaining to see how nobody was like, is he actually being sincere? We don't believe it.
Well, and when we get to episode 40, which is Groundhog's Day, or Happy Death Day, I think I liked it a lot because it did show Izu's ability to almost kind of compete with Arc on calculating all of the different factors till she reaches to the point of ultimate singularity and becomes Zaya in a way to create the next belt. Because in that episode, we get the introduction of the 0-2 belt.
Mm-hmm.
And also, Thouser getting kicked to the curb by his new boss.
Oh yeah, Yoshitaka.
No, that didn't happen till...
No, the next episode.
But yeah, we have 0-2's premiere, which I liked the little homage to Nigo from the original Kamen Rider series. I like the little, 0-2 emblem is meant to be a scarf.
Yeah, and the color combination, even though it's a neon green, but the way they do the red is just like if you go back to the original Kamen Rider.
Well, and I thought it was nice to have that.
Still very pretty.
Oh, absolutely. And having Jin also have a little bit more development there. Because the one thing I really appreciate about this particular show, good, bad, or otherwise, is all of the characters have been getting development woven in throughout the series.
Even the minor side characters.
Absolutely. And this was a great episode just to kind of see Izu and Jin get a little bit more development because Aruto is almost in the background just continuously dying like Bill Murray.
Yeah, and then the way they're developing Izu and Jin has a lot of foreshadowing for something we're going to be seeing in upcoming episodes.
I have to say the way they do the foreshadowing here is like JoJo's level of foreshadowing.
Yeah.
But then again, everything can...
It's a JoJo's reference.
Whether you like it or not.
I'm now seeing levels of JoJo's foreshadowing in everything I watch.
Let me do the pause. Good.
Why do you think I chose that one for you?
So then we had 41 was where he pretty much kicked Ark's ass and freed the brother.
Ishikaki.
No,
Astronaut 2.
The astronaut brother.
yes.
Yeah, Ishikaki.
And they destroyed the Ark satellite.
That was really good.
Then we have
Whoa.
42, where the shit hit the fan.
I did, and these two were like, we can't wait till you see 42. I did not see this ending coming.
Oh my god. When we first watched it, and well, first you have Izu die, which you're like, they're gonna bring her back, but then the way they were doing it's like, okay, maybe not. And then when you have Kamen Rider Arc come down, or Arc 1 come down, kick ass, and reveal himself to be Aruto, it's like, what the hell?
That was really
Holy shit!
And it's like you were saying on Twitter, which is like, it was like having a Kamen Rider Blade mode without spoiling anything. I was like, okay, what's gonna happen here?
Yeah, because
Ikazuchi.
Ikazuchi, yes, because Thunder. But yeah, it reminded me of when Blade went into King form, which turns out to be turning him into an undead. It was like, oh snap!
Well,
Yeah, that design is sick too.
I-
The white, black, and
And when he does the attacks and goes into the pure black background with the lighting and sparks flying out.
that was beautiful.
And then the fact that they brought Azu back, which we kind of thought was just going to be a throwaway character.
So with 42,
The worst.
it was an emotional roller coaster because you first really start out with Hirobi, who
Hirobi.
that's Harambe, and that
Hirobi.
whatever.
no, I'm talking about from
Boondocks.
Oh, okay.
But nevertheless, because I don't want to go down that path, you have Hirobi, who is very emotional because he's finally free of Arc. And he saw the flaw with Arc itself, but saw the pros with Arc. So you have all of this, and then he starts connecting with the Humagears to say we are essentially, for lack of a better word of saying it, slaves. They look at us as means to an end versus looking at us for what potential individuality we provide. which has been a common theme
A common theme.
from the start of the series to now.
Yeah, they rode with it the entire series.
And so you have
And
that.
that's how you know it's a Ruto!
With the
That
puns.
breaks my heart.
Oh.
But when you have two sides of the same coin of Hirobi saying humans are evil, and then Izu coming in trying to be that voice of reason, saying humans are good, but not all humans are perfect. Saying that you can't just blindly say all humans are bad. I think the reason why he kills her is really because he knows she's right.
But he doesn't want to hear it because he is trying at the same time not to do it, but then realizes he's got to do it to keep his ideal.
Absolutely. He is taking that very strong front of saying, I'm right, this has to be done. And it really does drive Naruto to that next stage of evolution. And it really does make me think of anything Philip K. Dick has done, especially if you think of Blade Runner or One Android Stream of Electric.
Well, it also reminded me of Silent Mobius when Katsumi becomes the bad guy for the second last arc of the series.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you watch the anime, the last arc of the series.
Well, think of... I understand that everyone likes The Dark Knight Rises,
It's the weakest one
but
of the
the
set.
sentence
Batman and
that...
Robin's better.
The...
Oh! Oh, damn! That's insane.
But the line I appreciate from this movie is you either die a
That's
hero...
Dark Knight. That's the Dark Knight.
Oh, okay, but you
Not
either...
Rises.
Fine, then from the best of them all, you either die the hero or live long enough to see yourself the villain. And unfortunately, in this, you really do end up having to see Naruto become the villain of the story. Because he is essentially going to end the world.
Yeah. And then when you have Zaya's new boss in 43 tell them they have to stop Naruto,
Yoshitaka Williamson.
it didn't go the way they planned.
Well, yeah, so 43 we have when they're fighting Naruto, Bowser, Vulcan, and...
Valkyrie.
Valkyrie, yes.
Yeah, backstabbing McGee.
And then when they're shooting at him, and again we have the black background with the lightning attacks going across where Naruto is just like, boom,
He channeled his
Boom.
true Rogol. That
boom,
fight.
and then he just destroys Bowser's belt in one hit. Then he uses the chips in their heads and turns them off essentially
Oh,
to
Naruto-
wipe out their abilities. to
As I said
transform.
while watching it, Naruto became SNK boss syndrome.
Oh, I love when you were like, hey kids, you want to see an SNK boss? It almost reminded me of like Hellsinger Bridge. Hey kids, you want to see a dead body? I'm like, oh my god.
But yeah, but when he just like pretty much kicks their asses without even laying a finger on them essentially.
Well, and I like how Bowser
Only 3. Hilarious.
records kind of the battle and reviews it, and it's like, Naruto is not Arc. And I think that was the biggest twist.
Yeah.
Because when you first see him at the end of episode 42, you're like, with the way everything bridged together, you're like, okay, he was taken over by Azu to become the new Arc.
She was just manipulating Naruto.
No, he literally,
Yeah.
if you really take it as such,
He chose to
Yeah.
take the power.
yes, she's manipulating him
He
continually,
was righteously
but he made
pissed.
a deal with the devil.
He wanted to kill Hirobi.
Yep. So he took the power. It's actually a pretty good fall from grace arc.
And I think it,
But
And that's how you know it's a Ruto!
I think it was necessary for this story to have the character who felt he was right and noble the entire time with a level of positivity.
To end up in the pits of despair.
Yes. Oh my god. Oh my god. It's Danganronpa.
no,
Yep, it is.
But yeah, I loved how, and then we have 44, which first off, the actress who plays Izu and Azu, she would make a freaking good horror movie ghost. Like the way she's just slowly creeping her hands on the image around Aruto, and then like creeping up, like lifting her head up and going around him like that. That is totally something that you would see in a horror
Considering
movie.
one is Best Girl and one is literally Robot
And then
City.
you get the entire. Well, 43 also ends with Jin's death as well.
Yes.
Which, and that's the worst thing I have to say about this series. Not the worst because it's an actual terrible thing. It's the worst because it's like 2 episodes in a row. You're like, no! Izu! No! Jin!
And Jin's
No!
death pushes Hirobi over that complete
I know!
point now.
It's
Because
like-
Hirobi was starting to come around, but then he's just like, my son's dead.
Went full exterminatus. It's like, fuck it, destroy all of them.
It's like the term that you hear as a kid. Well, if your friends jumped off, a bridge, would you? Apparently, in Kamen Rider world for Zero-One, yes. If my friends jump off a bridge to go to the dark side, I want to go too. They have cookies.
I also have to say, I want to know what that area was that when Jin and Hirobi were in, where it is like just the torn cloth draped over the arches. I'm like, okay, is that supposed to be some type of art piece? Is that just something they set up for that episode?
Well, and it's like, it's a lot of foreshadowing in that whole part, too, that one of those was going to die before the end of the episode.
But the other thing I was thinking was like, okay, did somebody leave their laundry there?
Yeah, that was what I was thinking.
It's not someone's laundry. Okay, well, that answers, at least I know that much.
Well, and then you have Ikazuchi and Nagi. Nagi, yeah, Nagi. Nagi
Hacker
is from,
McGee. Super hacker. Well,
But Nagi, you have both of them come in, and they're trying to do voice of reason for Jin. That fails.
Yeah.
Then they do a voice of reason for, Nagi tries to do a voice of reason for Ruto, then proving once again that Vulcan has the strength of 1,000,000 men in the palm of his hand.
That-
And then the fact that
Fingerprint
Fua doesn't die after using Naki's key.
And then you have Ikazuchi trying to be the voice of reason for Hirobi. And Hirobi's like, what would you do if they killed your brother? And
Ikazuchi just kind of backs away and lets Hirobi just walk on after that.
it's a hard point that I think everyone has had to contest with at some point. What would you do if something were to happen? Would you be the better person and walk away and let justice prevail? Or would you take justice into your own hands?
And then on the other side with Naki and Fua, it just goes to show that Fua can beat sense into anybody.
And I will say, Naki was one of the biggest disappointments for me for the series because they did nothing with the character.
And you gotta admit, though, that they probably had some plans that probably got thrown out because of the lack of
Most likely.
episodes.
Well, there's a couple things I really want to point out for this series because we get really into it in episode 44. We see it in episode 43, but really in 44, is we get something that in the States is huge right now. We get a hell of a social commentary.
Human Gear Lives Matter.
Essentially.
Especially when you have where they take the one dude who ran past the cops, where he throws the dude on the ground and just puts his knee on his back.
And for an American, because it was in the news so prevalently, and knowing others of color, people of color, who have gone through terrible things, watching this, they're definitely doing a social commentary of Japanese xenophobia as well as Americans right now.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing that commentary because Japan now has 10% of their population is foreign born.
And they're doing it intelligently.
Yeah.
That's the other thing, is that it was done intelligently where it's a social commentary, but it still works within the confines of the story, where it's like the story comes first, the commentary second, but they work hand in hand, not like where it's trying to just throw it all in your face and then maybe the story's an afterthought.
No, it
And then-
fits so perfect with the story at the time.
And in the real world, many of the actors from this Kamen Rider series have actually outwardly, from what you had said, spoken out.
Multiple Kamen Riders just across the board.
So they have spoken out for America, saying diversity is necessary, equality is important, racism should never be allowed nor justified.
And then we get the big battle between Hirobi and Naruto.
God, 45 was just 24 minutes of action.
Oh my god. Episode 45, I felt like I'm so happy we watched it a second time because, as you said, Chrisalage, that's an episode you need to watch multiple times.
He's really good.
That and it's I think the best Kamen Rider ending we've had since
In a while, apparently.
I don't know.
I would say Gaim. I really enjoyed Gaim's ending.
I enjoy Gaim's ending, but I think
Guy could have ended the episode earlier.
But I feel like I think it's the best Kamen Rider ending since
Blade?
I don't think it's.
I don't
Double.
think I wouldn't go that far back. Well, Double was hard because
Forze was good too.
Forte had a real perfect ending.
But there were issues.
Double-
Like the problem with Double was they brought back Philip out of the blue, which kind of felt off.
And unnecessary.
Well, nevertheless, because I don't want to go down the road, it was an incredible ending.
It was really
Yeah.
good. It brought back It brought back memories of Kuga because of how much they were doing melee fighting, and when they would go, they're in costume, but then they would do cuts of like showing as if they weren't in costume fighting each other, which is what Kuga did. Only difference is Kuga did it in the snow, which made it even cooler.
Yeah, that one had some effort.
But the way they pulled off this final episode made me reminded me of that a lot, and I just loved the scenes again when they're showing the punching going on and with the slow motion stuff happening and the close-up shots.
True clash of ideals.
Mm-hmm.
And I also like how they slowly brought Jin back with his
Well,
AI.
I teared up the first time we watched it because you have Hirobi. He's like, you killed my son. And Naruto is like, yes.
But when you think
And-
about it, Hirobi killed Haruto's dad and Izu.
And then when Hirobi thinks, he's like, I started this by killing Izu.
And if you go back farther, he actually was the one responsible for his dad's
not
death.
necessarily.
No, that was Arc in general.
That one.
But it was the thought of this really escalated to the point where it was because of Hirobi.
Yeah.
And that's why when I see him at the end where he just opens up his arms for the realizing finish, and it's like it's like,
I'm ready to die.
He's
Yeah.
He just accepted his death.
And yeah.
I do like, though, that Naruto went back to the original form from the first episode.
Okay, there's a funny thing. I was thinking about that. Okay, one, you don't really see. You've never had a Kamen Rider series where their original base form is their final form.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was like, wait, does this really mean that every other form in the entire series was absolutely pointless because the base form is the ultimate form?
In a way, yeah.
Yeah, in a way it is.
in a way, but I think it was necessary to have him have the other forms because it helped him grow as
An individual.
Yes.
No.
You had the Maracuna.
No. The other forms just existed because ching ching, ching ching,
Yep,
ching
come on,
ching, ching ching, ching ching.
Well, I also liked how the final
Ching, ching.
battle wasn't every single rider fighting against each
Yeah,
other.
you had all the other
two.
riders had their forms gone.
Well, there were no more riders
Yeah.
by that time at the end.
But you know what I mean.
There were only 2 riders left, surprisingly.
Yeah, and then the
Which actually reminds me of Ryuki.
The makeup jobs.
the
were
makeup
incredible.
jobs were good.
10 out of 10.
For when all of them being damaged, Izu, Jin, and Hirobi, when they're damaged, those makeup jobs were frickin' incredible.
And then we get our tease. of the movie in December.
Oh, Eden, the Kamen Rider.
And then Azu changing forms.
To Anna style Black Widow.
Yeah, she went full widow form.
So from
Once you
Eliza
go
to
goth, you never
Yeah.
come back.
from
was
Eliza
like, oh my
Voxfanovich to
God.
Anna.
And
But
then,
it kind of threw me off though, because it was like everything was so good, but then you have this Eden form. It's like, oh, okay, I guess this is leading into a movie, which is kind of lame that they did this at the end of the series, but sure, why
What can
not?
you do with this time?
2020.
Yeah, 2020.
yeah.
It really does ruin everything.
I swear that 2020 or hindsight is 2020 actually came from a time traveler trying to warn us, and everyone misinterpreted it.
Did you ever see the Futurama one? Time Travelers Forbidden. It gets and then Fry's picture. Okay, Matt Groening, you better shut up now. You just have a time traveler thing. That's an actual episode starring
but-
Oh,
Victor.
it is.
Yeah, so Eden, I'm curious to see how they continue that story for the movie.
Because Ark's still alive.
Technically,
I guess
multi-faction.
maybe.
Well, I kind of feel like Ark is
A thing.
one of those elements that will never not exist.
Yeah.
Well, don't you see it? The evil robot Satan created a mass production for everything. So technically, there could be a movie for the next boss design for that when she's
And then I do like.
Basically, it's going to be Deno.
I do like that.
Mhm.
it
This will be
shows-
the new Deno, won't it?
I do like that it shows that Ames is going to be a normal government organization,
And that Yua became their boss.
and Metsubo Jinrai is now going to be defenders of the peace.
Which is the fuck?
And Vulcan with Fua going around, I'm just a protector of the peace, I'm Kamen Rider Vulcan.
Well, he toned the best Primarch from the Salamanders.
But I'm
Vulcan.
curious to see what will allow Aruto's key to activate now that it's not activating. I did like at the end when he's teaching the new Izu how to do, and that's how you know it's Aruto.
Yeah.
That was like, oh.
It hurt.
Heartbreak.
Because it's
So-
not this- Oh.
For stuff in the series, what would you say would be your favorite battle?
Ooh.
Oh.
I will have to go when Guy decided to make Aruto go berserk and it backfired on him. Because just seeing him get owned.
Oh yes, when the first time he gets owned in the series is when he gives the Heaton Metal key to Aruto, and Aruto without any effort and all non-chalons.
Goes berserk.
Oh my God,
Almost.
that was classic.
It's the first time you actually see Guy actually get humiliated.
I'd have to go with the first with Jin getting the Maracuno unit version of Zero-One with the laser beams while he's fighting Jin's first form, Falcon.
All the way back at the beginning.
back at the
All the
beginning.
way back at the beginning.
Yeah.
I will say one of my favorites.
And second would be Throwser's Bison Stomp.
Oh yeah. I would say if I went way back, anything with Lil Assassin.
Oh my
Oh,
god,
yeah.
Dodo was amazing.
Lil Assassin, especially when you find out there's like 8 of them.
There were 6 of them.
I know, but still, it was a ridiculous amount of Lil Assassins.
Weak, bitch. S tier boss.
Yes! And when you get to the S tier, and then you still have one of the weak ones left that's like running away. It was like an episode of Taken, so to speak. But I loved Lil Assassin, and while I'm happy that it didn't continue, because I think that would have taken away from it, it was a fun arc to have, because obviously it helped propel Jin to where he went.
Oh.
My favorite, well, I loved everything with Arc Zero, but I think my favorite fight was Bowser and Hirobi in the Burning Factory.
Oh yeah, that was a good fight too.
Especially because I think that's because it looked like they actually used actual fire effects, if I recall.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that was actual fire that was there.
Because I think that's the only time the fire was not CGI'd. because usually all the other fire effects in the entire show were CGI flames.
But the way they had that fire set up in that warehouse, they made it so they could do an actual flame.
that fight reminded me of Kuga, because in the second episode of Kuga fights a bat in a burning church.
Well, I think the reason why
that
there's
one
so much that reminds you of Kuga here is because two of the main riders were part of the police force, which was an element of Kuga from what you've told me.
Yeah, because Kuga and Agito were like police dramas with Kamen Riders in them.
CSI Kamen Rider. With also Aztec demons.
For, Kuga. And then, but yeah, that would probably be my favorite fight.
Yeah, they did.
What about most disappointing aspect of the series?
I will go last.
I'm going to have to say the fact that a lot of the momentum kind of got dragged down a bit because of the recap episodes that they had to do.
Well, I would say the momentum was dragged down because of the competition arc.
Which, I was reading that Guy was initially intended to take over as the president after episode 21, but they had the competition arc to kind of drag out because they felt it was going to be too early for Naruto to be kicked out as president.
That competition arc really slowed down the pace, and the worst part is Thouser started out such a big threat in that, and then by the end of the arc I was like, oh my god, okay, I'm so sick of Thouser, and this is disappointing because I loved him in his early appearances, because if you recall, I was like, oh my god, this guy's like Lingo in Blade.
Well, he had doom level ego.
And then by the end of the arc I'm like, oh my god, what is going on? Thouser's just everyone's freaking bitch.
Trying to
go make me a sandwich.
I'm trying to think of
which is pretty much what happened to him when Williamson said, "Okay, you're going now. Bye."
And his office is now in an electrical closet-like office space.
I was waiting for the stapler.
But yeah, the competition arc for me was the worst thing about the series.
God, I'm trying to think of which parts I do. Like.
I didn't hate the entirety of the competition arc. I actually liked...
Competition arc was just dragged out a little too many episodes.
It was dragged out a little bit too long, I will agree with that, but I still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I would say the most disappointing thing to me, and it's more of a disappointing as a joke than reality, is when you find out Fua's missing life
Was incredibly
was incredibly boring. And what did he miss? Nothing of value.
Yeah, that line there, the nothing of value.
I'll just go with the 3 recap episodes, because that, I thought, was the lamest.
What? The recap?
No, recap. Why did you have so many of them?
Well, they had no choice.
I really had no choice.
That's the only weakest part of it.
I will
I hate
say
seeing
the
it
recap episodes really did screw up the momentum of it because...
Well, we didn't watch the recap episodes though.
We had,
but there was so long of a break.
At 36.5 being the only one that we did.
35.5.
35.5 was the only one we had watched, but it turned out that actually did, for the latter half of the show, become extremely important.
Well, I know that it's not like we always watch every episode every week, but knowing that you have an episode to watch keeps you engaged, keeps you out there, and to have recap, you kind of like, okay, it's been a month since I've watched anything new, really. And now that it's a month, I only have one episode to show for it, type of thing. So you can re-watch prior episodes to be able to catch yourself up, and I appreciate where the recap episodes were coming from, but...
The only thing I don't get is why they just didn't push Saber's premiere back a month to do what they were originally planning.
I have a feeling it probably had to come down to Bandai needing their toy sales at a
I'm just going to go with your statement from a recent video, because Japan.
But that's my only thing. It's like, it's not like, because they didn't even actually give Saber a release date, or even officially announce Saber until Zero-One had pretty much returned from break. It's not like everyone knew would have had to, would have been like, oh my god, no, I don't want Saber to be delayed, because there was no date at that time.
Well, I kind of feel like the reason why they didn't is because with everything going on with COVID, I think so many organizations, including entertainment, reevaluated and said, you know what, we need to go with the stricter timeline. Let's just cut what we don't need, keep what we do need and tighten that up. And if we need to do extra movies, we'll do that. Because that's kind of what I feel like they did with Den-O. They couldn't tell the complete story of Den-O
And it's
or
been going.
Decade, and they made movies for it.
They still haven't finished Decade's story. They ended up.
No,
Decade ended up getting continued on in the Kamen Rider Zero.
And now Zio's the new Decade, as
Yeah.
you guys stated.
The
only saving point of that series
no,
was
Den-O
fucking
I
was.
felt did have a complete. It's
It
just,
had a complete ending, but they had so many things that they could do.
it's just the series was too popular for its own good.
Well, that's
Curse
because
you,
Den-O was
popularity ruining things.
Well, it's just behind Fives in popularity in Japan.
Favorite character.
great. I was about to ask that.
Oh, shoot.
I'm not surprised
Is that
you chose
standing
you.
back
She was the best
Yeah.
female Kamen. Well, she's the only really good female Kamen Rider.
Well, she's
Kamen
the-
Rider.
Technically, she's the third female Kamen Rider in history. You had Swan in Ryuki,
You had
Yeah.
Femme,
Femme and Gaim.
no,
The cherry girl in
Yeah.
Gaim.
and
was
then
Peach.
no, I thought she was Peach.
She was Peach, yeah.
Energy Rider with the archer.
Yeah, she was Energy Rider.
No, I thought she was cherry.
She was
No.
Peach Energy Rider.
Cherry
Cherry
was
was the
the drug
guy with the
dealer.
fedora that got
Yeah.
crushed.
He was
Oh,
the
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Peach girl.
But the one,
Shouldn't.
so what I loved about Yua, she's not my favorite character, but what I loved about her is she really is the first female Kamen Rider who has been in the series from start to finish. And she was a necessary device.
And she didn't end up dying.
No shit, because
I
Femme
just-
was useless.
I just don't like what they did with her during the competition arc again.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
That was the worst thing because they just were ruining these characters. Your favorite?
For secondary, Vulcan, just because his angst eventually evolved.
You always end up liking the secondary rider.
However, Izu and Lars are still
You like Izu and Naruto best.
because that's the ship I'm going down with because it's Lars and Eliza Buxpanovich.
You're gonna ride that ship till it sinks.
Damn right.
It's like the Titanic.
But then again, since Lars might die in Tekken 8, this is pretty much the
Oh, one other thing I was disappointed before we get to your favorite character. The other thing I was disappointed with is they didn't use the jackal form more than like
I
twice.
know, that pissed me off so
But
much.
I kind of feel with her character development, she got so angry with Guy, she didn't want to use that
Yeah,
form.
but they could have had Naki take that form.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. She technically was his hacker, so that would make
I
sense.
wanted Naki to take the jackal form.
You mean the
That
Anubis?
form was completely useless, but it was so goddamn
Well,
awesome.
Naki only uses Japanese wolf 3 times.
But I did like though how Naki's version looked like a mummy, and then when Fuwa put it on, it looked like a regular Kamen Rider costume. Alright, who is your favorite character?
So, my favorite character really evolved and changed throughout the entirety of the series. When it started, it was Hirobi. When it went on, got Little Assassin. Then it went to Thouser.
Oh, and that ship probably died.
And then it went to Jin.
Speaking of Titanic.
Yep.
So at the end of the entire series, because it really changed, because apparently I have no loyalty, and most of them were villains, my favorite character from the entirety of the series is Hirobi.
You just like
Even
that
though
whole-
he killed Izu, which pissed me off.
Did you know apparently some people got so pissed at Izu dying, they have declared Zero-One is the worst Kamen Rider series ever?
Wow.
Wow, that shows people like their robot waifus.
No, it also shows that people are taking things way too seriously.
Well, I also think that's the impact of the writing of the character.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
tells you
but-
the show had good writing.
But to basically get so pissed off because a character you liked died, that you completely decide the
Yeah, I
entire
agree.
show
that
is garbage.
I agree. That's lame. Also, it's not like they had
But-
a chance. They weren't the
so-
comedian. They don't count.
I don't know. I have
Oh, you asked all of us, and you can't even come up with something?
no. Actually,
That's BS.
I'm gonna have to go with Naruto. But no, it kept
evolved.
shifting because I kept going back between Naruto and Hirobi and Jin and Thouser, and then Thouser went to bitch mode, so he just completely lost the running.
He lost all his ranks.
And then Jin was kind of cool, but then he kind of was like, Jin's cool, but Hirobi's cooler, but no, Jin's cool, but Naruto just went all evil. So I think I'm gonna have to go with Naruto though because he he had one of the best arcs I've seen from a main Kamen Rider in years.
Yeah, for a first.
Because I don't. Because he went through so much development over the course of the series. I don't think a Kamen Rider has been developed as much as him since Kiva.
I agree.
Since what was Kiva's?
I can't remember.
2008.
No, the writer's name.
Oh,
Now I can't think. Oh my god, I can't think of his name now. But I'd say that he's probably the one Kamen Rider with the most development since Kiva.
Now, I have to ask, favorite form of any of the riders through the entire show?
Well, obviously, we already know his answer.
Yeah.
Fighting Jacko.
I was gonna say Fighting Jacko.
Although I love the cheetah key. The trying to outrun the devil, trying to outrun a demon, only to be left in the dust.
So if I had to go on form, I mentioned this when I watched it the first time. Mentioned it when I watched it the second time. Arc Scorpion. When you have that line,
Oh yeah, when all the scorpions rise to the hill.
and then it says, when all evil rises to the hill, or to the mountain, it comes out on top. Or something like that. And I'm like, that is perfect.
What was the other?
It was like chaotic evil all the way.
What was the other demented voice we heard in the middle of the series? There was another form.
I think it was for the Dodo. The first time when Dodo came in.
Because I think it was later. Because I was pretty sure it was in the competition arc or something.
I also have to say, I do love Thouser's transformation.
Yes, it was cool.
You're all going to be shocked on my favorite one.
Oh, okay.
It's Jin's Phoenix form.
It is
Okay,
really cool.
that's good. I like Jin's Phoenix form.
Yeah, because when he first came back in, I'm like, and just the way it's designed too with the red and black, I really like that design, and they kept through it. And I'm glad Jin did not get any other upgrade after
We
that
also
Phoenix
love
form.
the zoom suit too.
Yeah.
Maybe it was Fighting Jackal.
No.
I couldn't even hear it.
Yeah.
But do you really have to watch one YouTube video while we're doing a YouTube
Yes.
video?
Yes. He's trying to figure out something.
Because I was trying to bring it up for whatever.
But
And then Chrisalage,
Says the person who has all
your
the
favorite
things.
form.
I'll have to go for that one time we got both wolves coming out as a double-headed.
oh,
for
yes.
Vulcan with the
Japanese
Japanese wolf.
Japanese wolf and normal wolf has come together as one and has Wolverine claws for a half a second. It was cool, and we only got it for one scene. It's not fair.
Well, overall,
It's just like Grease's ice form and build. We only got that for one episode.
Can we not? That saddens me enough because I'm reminded of the sentence.
I'm so glad that Zero-One was way better than Build.
Well, can I say one thing that I really appreciate about Zero-One?
Yeah, we should probably do our final thoughts.
As a series. Well, this is something not as a series, but just something I'm very impressed with, especially for the Japanese culture. This is the second series that they have actually hired someone who is openly not heteronormative.
Yeah, non-binary actor playing Naki.
She's imprisoned by
Because
Japan.
because the first time, and I say knowingly because obviously, unless they say something, it's not like anybody's going to really know. Because the first time is when you had the transgender woman and Wizard,
The
Yeah.
donut shop owner.
Yep.
the donut shop owner, which I loved her. And then Naki, being a non-binary actor, I think is fantastic and fascinating because Japan, as much as their anime and television shows say otherwise, they're very heteronormative.
Well, stubborn is the difference because
Well, there's a
tradition.
there's a very big generational clash going on right now between the older generation and younger generation, because the younger generation is more accepting, and also younger generations more accepting of immigrants as well, which ties in back to their protesting into the theme of this show.
Oh, absolutely. But I wanted to highlight that because that's still something that obviously we're fighting here in the United States, and I imagine many other countries around the world are doing the same. But for a Kamen Rider series that's targeted technically towards children.
So what you're saying is it's a common theme.
Ah.
And that's how you know it's a Ruto!
But that's all I wanted to mention
I've got a
because I
note.
was very impressed.
I've got to note that for all it's worth since
Yep.
it's our final zero.
Okay, yeah. Final thoughts for each people's.
Yeah,
Well-
final thoughts. Let's start with you.
Yeah, let's
Okay, good all the way around. Love the designs, the satellite bit, so 9 out of 10.
So I will have to agree that the competition arc and then having those recap episodes did kind of make the momentum the series had drag on a little bit. But still, after getting everything through in this, it's a 5 out of 5 grown-ups in spandex for me. I haven't watched a show this good in a long time.
So when Advent and I did the podcast months ago talking about our favorite tokusatsu series, and I had mentioned Zero-One was one of my favorite tokusatsus, which both you and Advent got on my case about because it wasn't completed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still have to say it is one of my favorite Kamen Rider series because I feel like I was justified even at that point in time of saying I was very
And we were only
impressed.
13 episodes in
We
at
were-
the time.
Well, good. It's good that you like a series that you got all this damn merchandise to.
Unlike Drive.
Hey, I love gimmicks for tokusatsu, if you can't tell. We have an entire thing dedicated to my personal shrine.
The power
Of
of
gimmicks.
merchandising is strong. But
Merchandise.
Alright, your shtick.
Yes. So it's a 5 out of 5 grown-ups in spandex, or a 10 out of 10.
I will give it a 4 out of 5 grown-ups in spandex.
We knew.
I love.
That's still
Okay.
pretty good.
I still like Double better than Zero-One.
Move
But I
forward.
give Double a 4 out of 5.
I know.
So I've got to end.
You're going through this from your review perspective,
Yeah.
too.
Well, I did feel the competition arc completely ruined the show. There was a point in the competition arc I'm like, okay, this show is about to collapse on itself because I was loving it so much, and now I'm going to start having that regret like I did with Lupin Ranger, where it's like,
Oh, Lupin was its own thing.
so much for all the love I had for it, and it started to feel that way, and then it started to pick up, but then the COVID recap episodes happened, and I was kind of like, Zero-One's back, okay, let's get this over with, but then it started to get really good when it came back, and then when we got to episode 42, I was like, okay, this series is back on track. This is phenomenal. Do not screw it up. And it did not screw it up. So, I would say that it probably would make my top 10 Kamen Rider series. It'd probably be closer to 10, but it would be in my top 10 Kamen
That is
Rider
impressive
series.
into itself.
So
Yeah.
even if the movie kind of screws up everything, the series will still be...
Which
Well,
is
the
good.
movie can end up screwing it up.
It
though.
probably will, so let's ignore that.
So, before we finish up, what would Silver Quill say?
Yeah, let's let Kaiju be the one to do this one.
I like Naruto. He was very puntastic. He punished us all. And then also, I really liked the relationship Naruto had because he was this great guy from start to finish. He had this really amazing arc where he had this fall from grace moment, but he came back on track in a very smart way. However, I would say that because of Thouser, this show took a plunge a little bit, but then we had a puppy, and then the puppy had lots of puppies, and the puppies were puppaful,
Okay.
and there were 5 puppies, so I would give the show a 5 out of 5 for the puppies, but since I don't review in scores, I'm just going to say it's definitely worth the watch. Oh, look at the puppies!
Does not dig
and
out.
I really like Jin. Jin had a really good arc too.
Do you think he'd like Jin?
Yeah, he did like Jin.
Oh, okay.
I was also sad to say that, I like these guys so much, they're gonna die. But that didn't happen this time.
Yeah! He did say that for several of the characters. They all lived.
Alright, so that is our... we're not done with the video yet.
Okay.
We've got like about a minute-ish left. So that is pretty much the end of Kamen Rider Zero-One. So until next time.
What?
Never mind. Okay. Until next time. Bye. Because that's how you know it's a Ruto.
Oh, you wanted us to all.